If you feel that since you started giving to the altar, your life has become a mess, you stop. Don't keep on. I don't feed a lazy God. I'm glad. As I'm going through this journey, that journey, protect my house, protect me, protect my household, protect. Now we offer up our blood sacrifice. You connect our blood sacrifice to all the gods.
So I finally made it to Cape Coast. I met two of my elders, and they welcomed me. And traditionally, when they welcome you, they tell you, well, we are here, you have journeyed and have come to meet us. So they will ask you what your tribe is, what your salutation is, what is the history of your people. They ask you that whenever they welcome you to their home, and then you also give them where you're from, your background, your clan, the tribe, and a bit of yourself, because we don't just get up and start conversating between people. You have to make sure you tell us a little bit about your history before the conversation actually starts. So that's just the introductions that I made. One of the elders went ahead to welcome me. His name is Ochima Kofi. He's the one that welcomed me, so asked me my business there. So I told him that, I'm a leader of a community that is trying to, or is studying and going back to our roots, trying to understand our spirituality, the ways of our fathers, how everything has been demonized, and how this generation can actually come back and start putting things the way that they are meant to be and the way that they are supposed to be. So this conversation, I further explained to them that there are a lot of us that are in the diaspora that also wants to know a bit of our roots, a bit of our history, a bit of our culture. So that's my assignment there, the reason why I'm there that morning, just to inquire and ask questions and find out about our ancestors and everything that they never told us in schools. Ochima Kofi then asked me, okay, we want to know, what exactly do you want to know? Because the history of our people is vast. So what exactly do you want to know? And I told him, well, this is where I want to start from. Whilst I was driving through Cape Coast, I saw this particular shrine, which is the shrine of Nana Prapenta. And when I saw it, the little I know that whenever you see a shrine, it means something. There's a history behind it. So it's a shrine that I saw that led me to want to come closer and inquire and ask questions about this God, knowing very well that Cape Coast has 77 gods. So I just saw the shrine. The shrine led me to come in and ask questions about the gods of our land.
Guys, welcome. Listen, I'm excited. I'm in Cape Coast. I'm in the heart of Cape Coast. I came to meet my elders. I know Ochima Kofi. I met him last night. I'm here to know the name of my elder as well. So, Ejan K. So we have Ejan K here, and we're here to pick up what we can about what we've learned so far. And it's all about our spiritual process and our spiritual journeys and our desire to go deeper. Like I said last night, for us to go deeper, we need to understand the roots. We need to go to our roots. We need to understand how things happen, how things are orchestrated, why we're here, so that we can move forward. We cannot move forward if we don't know our history. So that is why we're here. And as I do, I'm going to do the translations. And if the conversation gets too intense, then I'm going to do the voiceover. So let's get into it, guys.
So I just was informed that the popular name we know, Nana Praprentem, who is the linguist to the 77 gods in Cape Coast, his original name is Nana Ebuakwa. That's the original name, Nana Ebuakwa, and it was later turned into or changed into Nana Praprentem. So he had the name Nana Praprentem because back in the days there used to be a huge tree here, and it used to gather vultures. A lot of vultures used to come around, but we no longer do have vultures in Cape Coast. We only have crows and falcons now. All the vultures have left, all the vultures have gone away, and we only have crows and falcon in Cape Coast now. Tree you see in the market square grew up naturally. Nobody planted it there. It came by itself. This place was a meeting grounds, was an open place for meetings, and the tree was there. So what happens is that all the vultures used to gather on the tree and bring their nest onto the tree, and of course have their families there. That is why it gained the name Praprentem, but the original name is Nana Ebuakwa. If we should go back to the beginning of the story, where the tree is now, there was a natural lake. It was more like a river, and the name is Nana Adwa Burado. So if you watch the present day Melcombe now, that whole area was where the water is, Nana Adwa Burado. So as a result of the vultures coming around, laying their eggs and nest there, that's how come we call it Praprentem. Even the owner of this very house had 3 coconut trees planted by the same place. This was also a market grounds for our fathers and our elders. They used to bring palm wine over to this very place, and this was a trade of palm wine where everybody used to come around and sell their palm wine and also buy palm wine from this very place. So the god Nana Preprentem has always, the bosom, what we call it, bosom Nana Preprentem, has always been around. Is everybody, almost everybody in this area came to meet it. Our great grandparents came to meet the bosom Nana Preprentem in this place. So after a while, all we could see was that the tree on its own started dying, and the branches started falling off. And it didn't take a while. We saw that the whole tree had rotten and it had become an anthill. So instead of the tree, an anthill has developed in the place. There was a mighty rain that fell one day, and it poured down and took the anthill from its root out from the place all the way to the sea. Then after a few months, we saw that the tree has started germinating by itself without anybody planting anything there. It just came out by itself at the same place. As it started shooting up, a chicken came to peck the very top of it. Then all of a sudden it started growing wild and big. So when this happened, about 4 or 5 Rastafarians who were always in the forest, they never come to town. They noticed that the tree was just not an ordinary tree. So what they did was that they didn't have anything to do with the Europeans when they came to our shores. What happens is that they came to town and went for palm branches, the very top ones, and use it as a fence or a hedge around this particular tree, that is the god tree of Nana Preprentem, to ensure that no animal will come in to destroy the tree, because they sensed that it was a very powerful and a spiritual tree, hence what we have today as Nana Preprentem. So years later, the father of Ochirma Kofi, who was a chief priest in this area, also led the people, the community, to build a fence, a block fence around it. There was no entrance, no gates to it, and also it was to keep every animal out so that nothing will hinder the growth of this tree. And few weeks or months later, we saw the tree blossom to become a very big tree. His father also ensured that the necessary structures are built around, so that whenever the god descends and certain rituals have to be done, they would have room and enough space and available rooms to do the necessary rituals. And when he died, his children are the very people who still perform all the rites for the god. Opposite the road is a pot that he comes to drink from. I mean, the god, that's where we pour our libations and we give him water. So whenever he's thirsty, whenever he needs water to drink, that is where the god comes to drink water. And also that is where the elders go and pour their libations and invoke the god's presence. When the presence of Nana Preprentem is invoked by the elders, he would come and begin to speak and have conversation with the elders and show them exactly what to do and what not to do. Literally give them directives of how the daily affairs should be done. So after our elders and ancestors left, nobody is really being a priest unto the god anymore. But what he's done is that he's created a pot out of its root. So it is in its roots that all the water pours in and we pour all our libations. After a while, that particular place became a market, and this is ancient times. This is way before I was even born. This is Gold Coast time. And as the people kept growing and the population kept increasing, they kept renovating and changing it and building it to a bigger size. So what we have currently, it's being the bigger market now, but it came from ancient times. There's another god very close to this place, just a few blocks from here. His name is Nana Abakan. He's a very powerful god. He's one of the most powerful gods we have around here. So he's also one of the shrines that our people go to offer their libations to. Nana Abakan is his name. Like I said, this is a natural tree. Nobody planted this. And Ochirma Kofi also brought this in, that he took a human life before the tree grew up to become what it is. And I'm like, wait, he took a human life? So what happened was, I told you earlier that this whole place was occupied by water. When the NDC government came in, they wanted to construct a road here, but somehow the water wouldn't just dry up regardless of what they did. So they inquired, and the water said that she needed a human sacrifice. She needed somebody to give up his life. So there was a man here, an ancestor called Wobo. Wobo said, I'm going to give my life, but what would the community do for me if I sacrifice my life to see the construction happen? And the whole community said that we're going to do something historic to remember you. We're going to ensure that we remember you. So when Obua heard the news, he said that okay, then he's going to go ahead and sacrifice his life. So he took palm wine and a mixture of a bit of herbs, and he jumped in the water, and that was the end of the story. He died, and since he died, the water immediately dried up and the construction began. So if the water had never dried up and the sacrifice never happened, they could have never constructed the road you see outside. So a sister jumped in and said, this shouldn't surprise you. This is what the white people do. Even when they came to Ghana and they were constructing certain bridges, some of the white people would turn themselves into fish and go and communicate with the gods before they can construct. Some even sacrifice themselves before they can construct the bridges. So these things we do, these people know and they practice it. The same happened with the construction of the Ankoba Bridge. A white man literally sacrificed himself for the god in the river for the god to allow them construct the bridge. So the minute he jumped into the river, the god stepped aside. Now they were able to construct the bridge. So if they practice these things, why did they tell us that our spirituality is demonic? Brother, listen, they know the potency of our spirituality. That is why they go all lengths to ensure that you turn away from them so that they can go behind and conjure your gods, your powers, and use them for their advantage. Why do you think they keep prospering? The gods have always been around. They've never been anywhere. I mean, look at us. We don't have all these tech and ammunitions that these people have. We don't have it. But when it comes to war right now, who do you think is going to fight on our behalf? It's this same powers, it's this same God. All we have to do is inquire of them. So let's say we want to go to Mori right now, which is the next couple of towns, and we don't know what is going on. We don't know what tribe they've set for us. All we have to do is to invoke the presence of the gods and ask them what is happening in Mori. So what they will give us a couple of days, maybe 3 days, and go and investigate on our behalf. Then they will come back and tell us, you know what, this and this and this is what they've planned. So make sure you don't do this, you don't step here, you don't go here, you don't go there. They would even go ahead to show us what herbs we should use to bath, so that no knife, no guns, nothing can penetrate our skin. That is why the Ashantis can never fight the Fantis, because Fantis can just be 60 in number. The Ashantis can be 1,000. That is why we have the word Kuma Pima Pimbeba. This actually happened at Cromantin time back when the Ashantis were fighting the Fantis. What happens was that the gods dug a well, a huge well, and filled it with water. And on top of the water were this type of leaves that were covering the water. So the Ashantis thought it was bare land. So whilst they were coming with their troops, the minute they get to the water swallows them up and the leaves cover them up. So whenever the next batch comes to meet it, they will think it's bare land. So it started swallowing them up. So they go to a place, they realize, no, something is happening here. And when they checked, they realized that they were all being swallowed by the well. Then they screamed, hey, Kumasi Asanti, which literally means when you kill 1,000, 1,000 more have to come, 1,000 more can come, because they couldn't match up the power of the Fanti people. Till present day, when you go to Cromantin, you see the well, and the people that actually the well swallowed them up. When they died, they became plantain, the whole plantain plant. And up to today, when you go, you see the plantain there. And that's a very horrifying place, and a very I can say a tabooed place for the Ashantis, because it's a place that has a lot of bad memories for them, because they lost a lot of their people, and that is the powers that protect the Fanti land. That particular site is there till date. When you go, you see that the human beings have turned plantain, and they are standing there very tall. Till this very day, you can see them. So up to now, the plantain never bear fruit. They never bear fruit, because the place has become a very sacred grounds, because the human beings literally became the plantain. I mean, would you eat from a plantain that literally was a human being and is now a plantain? How are you going to eat that? So the place has become very sacred for our people because the God delivered the Fanti people. There's a god there to this very day called Sasa. This is how the rites or rituals are done at that god's shrine. So they have a big basin underneath and they put a piece of white cloth on top of it. Then you pour the libation over the cloth. He is able to determine whether something will succeed or not succeed, whether you will die or not die. That's Nana Sasa. So what they do is that they pour the libation over that piece of cloth. If what you're going to do will succeed, the water would suspend on the piece of cloth. If it will succeed, the water would go through, would drain through the cloth. So if what you're going to do is succeeding, it will suspend on the cloth. If it's not going to succeed, it will drain down. Cromantin is a very powerful place which I think you should visit. I'm like, definitely, I'm visiting the place. So Nana Propentem is the linguist to all the 77 gods in Cape Coast. So it's not a joke. It's a very powerful abosom, very powerful bosom. This tree has been there since the beginning of creation. According to the stories of our ancestors, this tree was there right from the very day the Creator created His creation. It is never cut. It has never been cut down. Whenever it comes down, it grows by itself at that same spot, at that very spot. When you go around, you see how huge the roots are. I remember when they were constructing the walls around the tree. The truth of the matter is, all those who cut any part of the roots died, including the white people who came down. If you cut the roots, you will die. And all the white contractors who cut the roots, they all died. The root is so powerful, it can appear on the surface and go back to the earth on its own without anybody supporting it. So I asked the questions, if Fantis are that powerful, why do we have, or why does it seem like the Ashantis are the powerful ones? And it's actually a saying out there. And so I'm being explained too that the reason why it is so is because there was a lot of disputes amongst the Fanta kings. That is how the Ashantis took advantage and built a kingdom which extends all the way to Elmina, whilst the Fanta chiefs were still disputing amongst themselves. So this is the advantage that the Ashantis got. Because of such reasons, when it comes to politics, the Fanti lands don't really benefit whenever there's a president-elect and it's not a Fanti. The only two presidents that we can say benefited Cape Coast is our first president, Kwame Nkrumah, and our ex-president, Atta Mills, may his soul rest in peace. These are the only presidents that actually developed Cape Coast. The rest, because they are not necessarily Fantis, that is how come they always ensure that the other regions and other states are developed. So I asked the question, is it because of the dispute that is why the Fanti land didn't grow into a kingdom? And the answer, Ochuma Kofi said, is yes. So Elder came back and said that if it wasn't for the gods, the Ashantis would have taken the whole Fanti land and even taken the sea. They remember stories where the Ashantis came to the shore the first time. They actually thought it was hot water boiling. So they were terrified about the sea, till one day they actually put in fire to see which fire is strong, and they realized that when they put fire into the sea, the fire was quenched by the water. So it was like, wait a minute, let's also touch it with our legs. And when they touched the sea with their legs, they realized that the sea wasn't boiling at all. So they made a statement like, oh, your fire does not burn, your fire is cool. Our fire it will burn you, but your fire, this big fire, does not burn, is actually cool when you touch it. And they were actually referring to the sea. So I asked the question, with all these powerful stories that I'm hearing, how is it that Nane Buakwa and all the other gods around could not see that the white people were coming to enslave us, and perhaps even warn us that the white people were coming to enslave us, and they kept quiet for slavery to happen? Yes. Achuma Kofi said yes. The story of the slave trade is that the truth of the matter is, if we would be honest, Fantis were not actually captured by the white. Most of the people in the coastal areas, or the Fanti tribe, were not actually captured by the whites. What happened was that the whites were constantly bringing slaves from the north. So I was like, wait, how did they get all the way to the north? And they said, well, this is where the Fantis were used. They tricked them. So because of trickery and lies, and most of them were told that they were actually going to educate them. They told them they were actually taking them away to take them through school and let them learn the trade and let them learn the craftsmanship and all of that. So the reason why the Fantis opened up, because they thought these people meant well and they were actually coming in to help. Since the Fantis were left by themselves, the Ashantis were constantly coming against them. The Elmina citizens were coming against them. So the Fantis felt like boxed in. So when the white men came, they became allies to the Fantis and tricked the Fantis that we are here for you. Little did the Fantis know that their real intention was to enslave them and to betray them and rape their women and kill their children and stuff like that. So I asked the question, where did the Rastafarians that were living in the bushes come from? And they said, these are children, these are mixed race children from the Europeans that came to the Elmina Castle. Majority of them, as a matter of fact, when you go all the way to Jamaica, to Brazil, majority of them are actually from Elmina. They are descendants from those from Elmina. But we, the Fantis, actually, none of us were sold. None of the Fanti people were captured and taken into captivity or slavery. When you take the Fantis, there was an elder called Qualbain, and he was a farmer initially. So he went farming one day and he found a pot of gold underneath one of his palm trees, and instantly he became a millionaire. So in those days, he had so much money. As a matter of fact, most of the huge buildings you see in Cape Coast all belonged to him. He had estate. He had so much money. So because of his affluence, the Europeans would dare not touch any Fantis. He had so much money. When you go around Cape Coast, most of the buildings you see around, like the PWD, like the castle, like where the library is now, like the MTTU police station, like where the Methodist church is now, when you see all these big huge buildings, they were all, even the current palace now was his building. He has so much money that he would literally dry money in the afternoons. So what the military person was doing is that every time he dries up his money, what the military personnel were doing is that they would put they would put coal towel underneath their boots. So when he comes up and dry his money, and the military men will put coal towel on his boot so that they can come and walk on the money, so they can take some of the money away. And that's how rich he was. I mean, he was so rich that when they did the accounts trying to find out how rich he is really, they realized that he was able to beat the Ghana government by 1 penny. This is one person's account against the whole nation's account. And he was so rich that he was richer than the entire Gold Coast nation, including whatever the white people had, by 1 penny. When the white men saw that this man was so rich, what they did was that they started getting close to him and they started turning his mind against his own people. What didn't also help him is that he didn't have children. The wife that he married was not able to conceive. So what he would do is that he would pay for the slaves to marry themselves and give birth to children for him. So he would literally pay people to get pregnant and give him the baby. But he didn't have children. That is one disadvantage. But also the whites, because they saw that he was so wealthy and a billionaire in those days, they made sure they turned his head against his own people. When you go to the Cape Coast High Court, you see his grave there, and his wife would be right by his side, and all his family members, when they die, that is where they bury them. I mean, he was so rich that the whites were terrified that a black man billionaire can rally his people against them. So they ensured that they definitely turn him onto, they won him over onto their side, so that he wouldn't be for his people, and therefore he wouldn't stand in the way of the intentions of the right people. So I asked if Nana Ebuakwan is still around. He comes around, and they say yes, of course. That's where he is. He's always coming around. He always comes around. And I was like, okay, so has he revealed himself to people? And say yes, many times, a lot of times. He reveals himself all the time. Inasmuch as is a male energy, at the same time there's a feminine aspect to him where he's constantly protecting and shielding. He never commits evil, he never kills, he's always giving children. A lot of people come around and ask him for babies, and he gives them. And you should know that their powers, they are not on their own authority. Everything they have is given to them by the Creator. There's not a single energy out there that operates on their own. They all ask from the Creator before they are able to do anything they do. On Thursdays, almost every spirit, every power that be, every bosom goes to the Creator to ask them to give. They never do anything by themselves. They don't have power by their own. If you have paid attention, you realize that there's not a single person that pours libation without showing it to Ochediampon or Dumankuma first. It doesn't happen. Everybody that pours libation would first show it to the Creator and ask for the Creator's blessings before they go ahead and even pour the drink on the ground. Let's even play with the English words God and gods. If the gods were opposite to God, why would they call them gods? If the opposite, they are one. One came out of the other. So the Creator brought into being the powers that be. That is just how it is. You cannot have it any other way. It always comes in two energies. One that is hot, one that is cool. Which one would you prefer? If you want the hot one, you take the hot one. If you want the cold one, you take the cold one. Every single power they have is coming from the Creator. So all that they do, the Creator empowers them to do. Let me tell you a story. There's a woman that used to sell kinky here. So somebody came to buy her kinky and gave her the money. But this woman turned around and said to the guy, "You haven't given me any money." The guy said, "But wait, I gave you the money." The woman said, "You haven't given me any money." So the woman said, what the woman said was, "If I am saying you haven't given me money, but if you choose to claim that you've given me money, in the next 3 days, I should fall down and die." Guess what happened? 3 days later, she fell down and died because she had been given the money and she was lying that she hasn't been given the money. But she swore under the tree of Nana Ebuakwan or Nana Prapenten. You understand? What they don't like is lies. So once she had gone ahead to tell a lie, then the power, the God in that atmosphere, in that vicinity, or in that around that conversation would hold up whatever you have said against yourself and use it, because they did not say they're going to kill you. You went ahead to say that in 3 days, you haven't given me money. In 3 days, I should die. And guess what will happen? You will die if you lie with them. If you are a priest unto these powers, you always have to make sure you are truthful all the time. What they don't like is lies. You have to say what they say, and you don't have to say what they haven't asked you to say. Because when you ask them of any request, they'll tell you, "Give us few days," because they also have to go and inquire from the Creator, from the other hierarchies, to find out whether this will work or not. So if they haven't gone to find out, how then do you go ahead and give your verdict to whatever it is that is happening? So you always have to wait on them before you speak. He's very compassionate and he's a just God. So let's say somebody comes from Victoria Park and said, "Oh, there's a God there, and that God wants to come into this house and come and kill somebody or punish somebody." He would not allow that to happen. When you come to him, he will stop you in your tracks and say, "Why are you coming to this house?" When you explain that, "Oh, so and so did this and that," he will say, "You know what, that is my family member. I've heard what you said. You go away. I will investigate and find out who is at fault here, and I will make sure the necessary things are done." But he will not just turn his back on you and not allow any foreign God to come and take advantage of you. So why is it that whenever the subject of the gods or abosom come out, everybody looks at you strange and point fingers at you like you're going to hell? And Oshimakofi came in and said that, you know what, it's because of certain things that have happened around, but majority of the time there are people who operate with witchcraft and therefore operate with wickedness. They are naturally wicked and they use witchcraft to do their bidding. So what happens is that if such a person wants to come and do evil in this house, he will never allow. But let's say when he is traveled, maybe he's traveled, he's going to visit the other powers in other dimensions or other areas. When that happened and that person operating with the witchcraft sees that he's gone, the person will sneak behind and come and do wickedness in the house. So it will look like, oh, it's Nana Prepentim that did it, but it's actually not him. And he will say, if I was here, this will never happen. Ask another question. Okay, so can a God get up and say, I'm killing everybody in this place? And they're like, no, an emphatic no. There's no God that would get up and say, I'm killing my own people or move to a place and kill anybody. I mean, it wouldn't happen. Let me even set this example. With all these pandemic that is going on, have you ever had any case registered in Cape Coast? Where did they put such a person? Where is the hospital? Which doctor administers such case? It wouldn't happen, because once you pass Kaswa, you get to Mori, get to Agri Junction, they block you from whatever you are bringing into Cape Coast. That is how protective they are. So why would they kill their own people? You need to understand that the powers that be exist because we exist. We are created for each other to depend on each other to exist. So when you come to them and ask them for anything, they'll do it for you without a doubt. But you also got to do what they also desire for you to do for them. And that is where a lot of people go wrong. I mean, if you are praying for a sickness to leave, when they actually heal the sickness, what do you have to do? Are you not supposed to go back and give thanks for what they've done for you? Come on. I mean, what at all would they demand from you? One bottle of schnapps? So I was like, wait, they don't really demand much. As a matter of fact, it's one bottle of schnapps. That's all they will demand from you. And is this something that you cannot do? You know, even when you come and there's something that you urgently want to deal with, they will just show you the things that you need to buy to help do the things that would help you with the request that you're looking for. I mean, that's about it. They're not asking for much. They're not really asking for anything. So you just do what they like, and that's it. Nana Ebuakwan is actually a power that really helps this community, and it's really growing this community. I remember back in the days where food was all over the place. You buy food for pesos. I mean, with just a peso, you get so much food, and they were selling all kinds of foods all over the place. You talk about peanuts, you talk about kenkes, you talk about gingers, you talk about vegetables. You can name them. You had everything all around this place, because why? He was ensuring that everything that you laid your hands to do was prospering. I mean, this is this is a very powerful God, Nana Ebuakwan, or popularly known as Nana Prepentim. He's one of them that would ensure that you prosper, one of them that will ensure that you do well. And this is the life that our fathers lived, because they did what they wanted them to do. So I asked the question, how about the priests that you go to them and they tell you, buy this, buy this, buy this, buy that, buy that, before they can do anything? Wait, is all of that for the priests or is for the gods? And it's like, no, it's for the gods. I mean, depending on what you are bringing, if your case is a strong case, then you buy a lot of things. I remember when we were kids and we used to play soccer. Sometimes we want to ask the spirit what's going to happen in the next match. So we get a piece of glass, get water in it, and get a very good smelling fragrance, and pour it in the water, and then call certain things and ask the spirit to show up, and they show up. But when they show up, it's only those who are pure, in the sense that those who are having virgins particularly, or those who are not messing around, those who are not polluting themselves. They are the only ones that would actually hear what the spirit is saying. So the spirit will show up in the water, in the glass. Everybody will see that the spirit is there, but it's only those that are pure. So when the spirit shows up, then the spirit will tell you what to buy and what to do. So I asked the question, are the powers actually real? I mean, do they really exist? And they say, yes, the powers are for sure, they are absolutely real. But what happens is that because a lot of people are not pure, that is how come they are not coming into contact with them. If you are a priest to any spirit or power or God, and you have an affair with your wife or have sex with your wife, you have to make sure you wash down and cleanse yourself before you go up to the spirit. You cannot just get up and go there. No. As a matter of fact, all the days, is only on Thursdays that you can have sexual relationships. Aside Thursday, you cannot be with a woman. So they have 6 days to work with you. You have 1 day to have pleasure. And then when you have that pleasure, then, and another thing is that don't also go after somebody's wife if you are a priest to any other gods. You understand? You have 1 day, but don't go after anybody's wife. There was a priest here who went after somebody's wife, and they embarrassed and disgraced him because they don't like filth. They don't like such things. You have 1 day, which is the Thursday, to have whatever you want to do. But after that, you have to purify yourself. So I asked this, wait, what did the God say about Christianity and all these religions? He said, but they also go to their church. I was like, wait, the gods go to church? And he's like, yeah, they go to the church, but they have their gathering because they are not on their own. Whatever they give, they also got to receive from the Creator. So if the Creator is not giving them, they have nothing given. So they meet frequently with the powers that be, with other entities for them to be blessed and charged up and powered up so that they can also bring it to this dimension. Chuma Kofi now asked me if I've seen a dwarf before. I was like, no, I've heard about them, but I've never seen a dwarf before. He said, yes. You will see them as you keep walking, especially when you're walking in the forest. And they show up. Sometimes they can even show up as monkeys. When you see a particular monkey come to you, and you see the monkey keep going further and further and climbing trees and keep calling you in, they are mostly dwarfs, because when you keep following them, with time they will turn and become white. That's when they reveal their true selves. If they really like you, they will take you to the deep forest and they will put their hand on you and put their hands on your mouth so you don't speak. When you are hungry, all they have to do is that put their hands around your mouth and you will be filled again. So they will teach you, they will empower you, they will train, they teach you all the herbs. When they finally bring you out to adore you, you will now become a very powerful person who understands all the herbs and speak their language. So right now in the fancy land, most of the people that are doing miracles now are working with the dwarfs, and all these people are actually the pastors. So all the pastors you see around, most of them are working with the dwarfs. These dwarfs are the ones that goes to the bank and take and withdraw money from the bank. They know when Mercury is very active and when Mercury is not active in the bank. And then when Mercury is not very active in the bank, that is why the dwarfs go to the bank and they withdraw money from the bank for whoever it is they are working for. You should know Mercury is the chief god of wealth. Mercury is and you guys have taught you this already about the Wednesday god. Mercury is the chief god of wealth, and he is in charge of wealth. So wherever there's Mercury, and it's not Mercury alone, all the other minerals you see in the earth, these are all spirits, these are all gods, these are all presence that if you know how to weaponize them, and I know, but I won't say this publicly. If you want to attract wealth, you have to see me privately. But these are all gods, and that is how the Creator created all of them. So Mercury is the chief god of wealth. The dwarfs know when Mercury is fully active. When Mercury is fully active, the dwarfs will not venture, they will not go there. When Mercury is less active, and there's a secret here, and the banks know this. The banks know this. I mean, the Creator has created everything for us. It's just up to us to do the right things. And some way, somehow, we think we are smarter than the Creator. That is why we always find ourselves in the mess. These white people, are you trying to say they are better than us? Are you kidding me? No, we are way far more superior than them. But how is it that they look advanced and we look where we are? Because they are applying the secret methods, the secret techniques. They know these secrets. They stole these secrets from our fathers, and they are using it, and it's working for them. Well, by the way, they're telling me right now how to attract wealth, and I know this. I practice this, but I'm not going to share it. I'm not going to put it on YouTube. Are you kidding me? That is very powerful, and I'm not just going to give it to anybody. That's a lot of money for me to do that for you. I must really love you. But that they just show the trick. I'm just speaking over the trick so that nobody. It's not a trick. It's how a secret on how to attract wealth. Said there are a lot of deep stuff. I see. Then elder said, yes, there are a lot of deep stuff. When you knock, it will be open. When you seek, you will find. When you ask, you will be given, or you'll be told. So I asked that, wait, so are we our own enemies? And the elder said, yes, definitely we are our own enemies. I mean, look at this. What do we need? Let's even consider Ghana. Ghana is blessed with everything. We don't need anything from anybody across the face of the earth, but everybody needs something from Ghana. That is why they keep coming here. We have been blessed eternally. That's how blessed we are as Ghanaians. We don't even fight. There's no wars, nothing like that. We enjoy peace always. What else do you want? I mean, when you consider all the technology around, let's even take the mobile phone. Have you ever thought about it? How do you talk on one end of the world and whatever you are saying gets to the other end of the world? What do you think is actually going on? What kind of connectivity is doing this? They will call it science. But we all know where they got the technology from. They got it from the gods. Who do you think taught them to do these things? Who do you think taught them to mend this machinery and make this car and do this underground train and railways and all of that? Are you not getting that how the trains connect to each other? It's the same way the roots of the trees connect to each other. Everything they are doing is coming from nature. Everything they have, everything they know is coming from the powers that be. It's coming from the gods. So there's nothing new. There's nothing that they are doing. And if we ourselves can sit ourselves back and connect, then of course these gods will also talk to us and we will advance and we will even do better. But the problem is we're not even listening to them. We're not even connecting ourselves to them. If you ask me right now how this television right here was made, what do you want me to tell you? How am I supposed to know? I'm not going to know it. But they didn't also know it at a point in time. How did they get to know it? So I asked the question, so why can't we also ask the God for this intelligence so that they can teach us? And elder is saying, of course they will teach us. But the fact is that when they teach you, how are you going to advance it? How are you going to take it to the next step? Because we don't have the systems around us to advance. The government is not supporting anybody. Let's even take Osafo Kantanka. Our Osafo Kantanka that is manufacturing cars in Ghana and all of that. Have you seen the Ghana government patronizing his product? Have you even seen the Ghanaian population buying his cars? They're not doing that. Why is that? I'm thinking they should buy from us. So we as a people don't support ourselves. We as a people don't grow what we have. All these drugs, all these medicines that we go and buy in the pharmaceutical companies, right? In the pharmacies, where do you think it's coming from? They're coming from the very herbs that we get from here and export. We buy them, we cook them, we export them, they add chemicals to it, and they make profit out of what we know. So it's not like the gods are not telling us what we must know. But after they tell us, what do we do with it? We don't have the systems that is supporting us. We don't have the systems that is equipping us to take it to the next level. Let's even take the lagoon here, the Nafosu. People from all over the world come down to buy the tilapia from this special lagoon. There's not a single river or lagoon that has tilapia and is nicer than the tilapia we have here. That is why everybody travels down. So I was like, wait, if I look at it, what makes it unique? What makes our tilapia unique? Is it because of the god in the lagoon? And the other said, yes, it's because of the god in the lagoon. But this god in this particular lagoon has the ability to turn everything into sweet. That is why our tilapia is unique. That's why we have what we call the Fante delicacy, which nowhere else in Ghana can have that. So I asked the question, do the gods also have children? And said, yes. Oh, why not? They have a lot of children. They grow, they multiply, they marry. I mean, you'll be surprised. There are certain gods that are even, I don't know if you like women, but there are certain gods that love women than you. They are womenizers. Some of the gods, if you follow them, they will sleep with everything they see. This is why when we go to the forest and cut trees for our canoes, we oftentimes go for the feminine spirit, because sometimes when you go for a masculine spirit and that particular masculine spirit is into women, when you take them to sea, they will go and follow all the female spirits on the sea, and before you realize, you lose your way and you didn't even find your way home because they've gone ahead to womanize. So I said, wait, but are you telling me all the canoes that we see on the sea that the fishermen use are all spirit based? They say yes, they are all spirit. I mean, how do you think the trees come about? Who goes to the forest and plant all these timber trees? Nobody is planting them. When lightning strikes and thunder strikes, they all descend from the dimensions. So these are full-grown trees that come down from the dimensions and come and plant themselves. Nobody is planting them. They plant themselves here. So when you go to a tree and you think you're just cutting the tree down, why do you think most timber operators die? Why do you think those who go to the forest and cut trees, most of them lose their lives? Why do you think most of them never? We had so many timber operators. Where are all of them? Why are they not successful? Because they do it illegally. The gods will punish you. Most of the trees in the forest are gods. Even all the giants that came down in Cape Coast and the Frontierland, these are all giants that came from the dimensions and settled in the seas. And some of them came out of the sea to land, to shore. So the day that these people decided to come to shore, not all of them made it. So some actually settled in the sea until date. When you go to those specific areas, you will see them, some carrying their babies, some carrying their baskets, some having their tools for farming and all that. They are all there. There's a particular season that when the water clears, you see all of them under the sea. I can take you there. I will show you where they are. There's a great legend that actually lived to the Frontierland called Kwaboche. Kwaboche is actually one of the biggest senior high schools in Ghana, and that's actually my school anyway. Anyway, let me continue to the story. So he descended from the dimension. He came down straight from the dimension. He didn't have a mother. He didn't have a father. He came down from the dimension to Cape Coast, came to do all his assignments. He was both working on shore and on land, doing so many wonderful things. This man never died. Nobody saw his corpse. He didn't die. After he did all that he came to this place to do, he literally vanished and nobody could see him again. In fact, he's one of the ancestors of the Aguna tribe. And by the way, I'm an Aguna tribe. Listen, I'm learning a lot. So he didn't die and nobody saw his corpse. So I'm saying, wait a minute. And it means that the Creator really created his world. I'm saying we haven't even come close to the things that he created. We said, Elder is saying, yes, of course, we haven't. We have 4 legends in Frontierland who were all not born by a woman or a man. They all descended down. One descended from the sea. One actually was living in the sea. His name is Nana Kweja. He is directly coming from the sea. Then we have Amenfi and the sister. We have Asebu and the sister Amenfi. They also were not birthed by any man. They came down from the dimension. Then we have Kwaboche that we spoke earlier. All these 4, nobody saw them die. Nobody saw them being born. They came into the dimension when they came into this realm when the dimensions opened up. They came to serve us. There are a lot of people, even in our midst present day, that are not born by man or woman. And such people, they only show up, come to do their work, and they leave. Nobody really know their history, their backgrounds, where they are coming from. But the reason why they don't show up more now in our days is because we've polluted the places. So when they come, they don't feel really, really comfortable. But they're still around to help if anybody needs assistance or not. Just that you need to be in a certain kind of dimension to be able to will them. But in this, the Creator created the world in such a way that whatever exists on land also exists in the sea. So you think human beings are only existing on shore? No, they are human beings in the sea. If they will, they can walk right out of the sea. When you go to the seashore late at night, you will see them come in and go, come out of the sea and come and trade and go back. So I'm like, wait a minute, Elder. Are you telling me right now that there are human beings living in the ocean? And You say, yes, there are human beings in the ocean. What are you saying? It's all natural. The Creator created everything perfectly the way He needed or wanted to create them. So nothing is surprising to us. We know everything is possible. I mean, there are certain. So I was like, can we go and see it? Can you take me there? He said, yeah, there are certain seasons, but you just have to know the seasons. There are certain seasons that when you go, the water will clear for you to see the human beings. And there are certain locations that I can show you. But you need to understand the sea has no color. The sea always picks up the form of the sky. So whatever the sky is displaying at the time, that is when the sea, that is the color the sea will adopt. So if the sky is turning green, we know what it means. If the sky is turning blue, we know what it means. If the sky is turning purple, we know what it means. When the sky turns purple, that particular time, you cannot use the sea on your skin because you will itch the whole time. When the color turns purple, that is when we know that there are a lot of fishes. The fishes are ready to be harvested. The fishes are ready to give their lives out for human beings. And that is when we go to harvest the fishes. Until those times, you would not have to take the fishes out. It becomes a curse. So the sky tells us when it's ready to go to sea, when it's not ready, when it's ready to pick the fishes from the sea, when it's not. If it's not ready and you go and pick it, you become a curse. I mean, let me ask you this. Do you have any scientists that would tell you the sea has a color? Let them try. There's no scientist that can tell you the sea has a color because it doesn't have. Anybody that will tell you, oh, they don't even understand what you're saying. The sea is only being governed by the sky, the moon. They give the sea the color. When you dive into the sea and you go down and you open your eyes to look what is happening underneath, you would see the sky literally underneath the sea. The sky is the bedrock of the sea. This, you won't learn it in school. They can't teach you in school. But when you go down there, you will see that everything that is in the sky is literally underneath the sea. The same thing. That is how the Creator created this world. What is up is down, and what is down is up. A lot of people come all over the place to come and fetch the sea and go and use it for their own spiritual stuff. I'm like, okay, listen, at this point my brain was literally tired. But anyway, let me translate this last part. So they were saying that once you put something into the ocean, you've literally purchased the entire ocean to go with you wherever you're going. Because if something comes out of something, then it means whatever is coming out of it represents the whole thing, right? So once you go and you've activated with a coin, you have to put a coin in the water before you pick it up. Once you go, you've activated the coin and going to use it for exactly what you want to engineer it for. Do you have any idea what is in the sea? The sea have minerals, the sea have oil, the sea have fishes, the sea have life, the sea has everything. So whatever you want to use that particular water for, it would manifest. It will not even delay. You just have to know how to use it, and you just have to pay the offerings that you have to pay. Once you put the coin in the water, you take it to your house, you can use it for anything. Anything you want to manifest is in the sea. Anything you want to manifest, when you put your money in the sea and pick it along, it will manifest if you know how to apply it.
Guys, listen, it's been an amazing listen. Now there's a whole school we have to do because the history they're giving me is too much. We want to take a trip to Ibakwan for you to see the God. He is the central God. He's the mouthpiece of all the gods in the central region. We've said a lot, but I can't cover everything. So I'm gonna come again and again and again and again. We are family now, so I'm gonna keep coming till we discover all the schools of our spiritual dimensions that we need to know, so that we can advance and move forward with this. Because the technology and the intelligence and the sciences and what have you, the medicine, the architecture, the things that they're saying is beyond anything. Listen, I didn't even know I was coming into this such magnitude of intelligence. So we're gonna keep this series going. I'm gonna keep coming so we learn a lot. So guys, listen, keep telling your family, keep telling your friends. Let's grow this family. I can't wait for all of us to take a trip and come and meet our elders. So that when you come to Ghana, we come here and you have a fair share of the conversations that I've just had, and of course I will interpret it and all of that. But most of the places they are talking about, we have to see them, and I can't wait for us to discover all these places. Listen, stay blessed, stay connected. Make sure you keep the truth going. Make sure you go deeper, because we are here to learn. I love you guys. Hey, I'm basing out the power.